Swagat, Namaste, wherever you are. We are your hosts, Prashant, Siddharth, and Jatan. We are three guys getting together every week, talking about cricket and having a good time. Welcome to the Cow Corner. Enjoy.
All right. Welcome back to Cow Corner, guys. So, in this episode, we are wrapping up the 25-26 Ashes with the series finale that happened at the Sydney Cricket Ground in the new year. And it was a match that promised a resurgent England comeback after that miracle at the MCG. But in the end, it was again a familiar script written in baggy green ink. Australia took the match by 5 wickets at the end, sealing a dominant 4-1 series victory. England got it right by winning the toss and choosing to bat on what looked like a classic SCG pitch. Gone were the days with two-day endings. We had a really good SCG pitch on our hands. England had the upper hand with winning the toss, as it usually happens at the SCG, and they were bowling in the fourth innings. Things again started in typical fashion for England, with a bit of wobble at the top. Duckett again, falling cheaply to who else but Stark.
What a
Story
shocker
of the series.
that was.
I know. But then we saw a masterclass. Joe Root, the player,
Amazing.
he's a run machine. He notched his 41st Test century, equaling Ricky Ponting, and did it with a sublime 160. It was an easy on the eyes batting. I mean, I watched some of it. It was fabulous. I didn't want it to end, really. And I'm talking about an English player. He played some exquisite cover drives and the cuts, and he moved past even 13,000 runs. Brook gave him company, looked set for a ton of his own, but departed early on day two. But even with his departure, England really looked set for a score above 500. But then again, what happened? England pressed the panic, customary self-destruct button again.
Hey, that's baseball. Come on. That's baseball.
But Jamie Smith on 48 played a horrible shot, a reckless shot that opened up the floodgates. England folded for 384 when they were aiming for 500 plus. And obviously, Australia made them pay. Australia's response was a loud reminder of why they still own Ashes at home. While Jake Weatherall's debut has been underwhelming, this Ashes has established Travis Head as the de facto Australian opener for some time to come.
Yeah.
And Khwaja's absence will surely not be felt. Head smashed a Hurricane 163 and in the process showed the bass bowlers how the bass ball is done.
I think he taught
Steve
them
Smith,
baseball.
Steve Smith again showed why he loves Sydney so much with a classic Steve Smith-like century to lead Australia to a score of 567 with a lead of 183. Huge lead, even though it was a good batting track. Special mention, gritty one, unbeaten 71 by Bob Webster. He's a pretty new guy, and to make 171 was good. England again started horribly. Again, was that a surprise? This time Crawley not offering a shot to Stark. And getting LBW. England was staring down the barrel at 85 for 2, again losing Duckett cheaply. But Bethel provided at least one reason for England fans to stay optimistic for the future. The new kid on the block in his just his second test played a wonderful and near chanceless inning of 154. Again, it was a pleasure to watch. Really enjoyed watching that. While Bethel flourished, the leadership faltered. Ben Stokes' miserable run continued with his cheap dismissal. And Jamie Smith, again, if he didn't do it with the bat, he did it with his running. A disastrous run out, mix-up, got out again. England eventually scratched their way to 342, setting Australia a modest target of 160 on a day 5 pitch, which was starting to turn. England desperately missed a frontline spinner, like Bashir. We'll discuss more on it later. Will Jacks did his best bowling, clean bowling Steve Smith with a beauty, but that wasn't enough. There was slight wobble with Marnus getting run out, but Australia still made it through with 5 wickets in hand. So just to summarize, the series wasn't a whitewash for a change, thanks to the MCG, but it was a hammering nonetheless. England showed flashes of brilliance, Root's class, Brook's potential, Bethel's promise, but you really can't wish Ashes with patches. Australia was just too clinical, too aggressive, too comfortable on home soil. 4-1, the urn obviously stays down under. Same story, same result, right? Australia wins the Ashes.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, I think this might be an appropriate time to mention what Stuart Broad had said prior to the Ashes, saying that this was Australia's worst team from 2000 since 2010, 2011. But
Wow.
he later like in the next sentence, which is the part that all the people cut out, like whatever. He said that Australia would have to play very badly and England would have to play very well for England to win the Ashes. So, despite the Australian team being a little bit weak and then weakened further by the loss of Lyon and then Cummins just, sitting out because he could, and Hazelwood, of course. Um, I mean, England just were dominated through and through. You said it wasn't a whitewash. I think it was a white. If Cummins played all 5 tests, it would have been 5-0.
Exactly. I mean, 4-1. I mean, what the heck? It could have easily been 5-0. You can always argue maybe they could have made more runs in this match, then England would have won, and blah 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 blah. Come on. The writing was on the wall when they showed up in Australia. This was going to happen. Simple as that, right? And total domination, professionalism, preparedness, skills, right? Attitude and aptitude all combined. Complete destruction.
Yeah,
So,
it's about the attitude eventually. They couldn't win at home against a relatively inexperienced India side with a relatively inexperienced captain.
yeah.
They didn't change anything. They still thought they're good. They're good enough. They lost Archer to injuries, and they
Yeah, just I mean, always have some excuse. They have so many excuses. I mean, and that's like the ridiculous part. I mean, when you lose like this, usually you would say, I know what I need to fix. And some of the other stuff we heard even after that is like, I don't think they know what they're going to fix or they even need to. Like major confusion there. So, cool. Thank you.
At least
Jatan.
they fixed number 3.
Yeah, exactly. Fixed. Like dropped. So, cool.
Winners.
Yeah, so moving on to our winners. I mean, I think from the fifth test, and honestly, from England's perspective, probably the winner for the entire Ashes series, even though he only played for 2 games, would be Bethel. Um, I gotta, rewind the tape to our last episode, or
Yeah.
I think 2 episodes ago, where I mean, don't get me wrong, Bethel is
you're gonna eat the crow?
he's way better than
You're gonna eat the crow.
I'll ever be at cricket, of course. Um, but I just didn't feel like he was ready. I mean, in the Lions game against Australia, he got out for pretty modest scores. I didn't really have faith that his spin would be a factor. I think Bethel, he really stood up. I think what impressed me the most about his innings was his composure. And despite within the first 20, 30 runs that he scored, there were several outside edges that he took that landed just in front of the slips or landed between 2 fielders. Um, and he didn't let that affect him. And I think that's like the great part about
Yeah.
cricket. Like, as long as you didn't get out on the previous ball,
It doesn't matter.
yeah, you face the ball, the current ball at its merit, and I think he did that really well. Um, and yeah, of course, he's going to be the long-term solution, but the fact that it was almost like the last resort after they had lost the series, somewhat diminishes his effect, but I think he's the overall winner of the 2025-26 Ashes for England.
So I don't know if it's fair, but maybe he had nothing to lose per se, right? So actually, it's not the worst of situations to get into when you really have nothing to lose. And of course, you need skills. I'm not saying that just helps you, but I think that gave him probably clarity of thought. Like he had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And he took full advantage of that. The maturity was definitely there. The flair, good shots, and playing, letting the ball go. I mean, you saw him leaving some balls go.
Yeah, some of his best batting, I think when he was approaching his 100, when Mitchell Stark was brought back on. Stark, in his spell to Bethel before he scored his 100, he didn't bowl very well. He bowled many short and wide deliveries.
Yeah.
And I think the shots that Bethel played, like those square cuts and those cover drives, it was really like very classy, like effortless almost shots. So it was very impressive. The fact that he was kind of forced into this position without like the adequate preparation experience. He didn't have any first class hundreds, by the way. He's only the 7th player ever to score a century without having a first class 100. I think the last one was
Right.
probably Gilchrist.
I think,
Right,
but the
so
thing though is, when a new player comes, right, when everyone else start analyzing them, the proof is in the pudding. We'll see how he shapes up when they do all the analysis on what his strength and weaknesses are. I'm not saying he won't succeed, but it's an entirely different ball game when people know who you are, they expect you to do well, and then they try to figure you out. So definitely fun to watch. For me, it was Usman Khwaja was the winner. I mean, just his story overall is really very inspiring on a number of different fronts. Just classy batter, kind of went away for a little bit, came back, had a really strong second stint, I believe, maybe even more successful than before. He made me think about another Indian bowler, actually, Ishant Sharma, whose first stint wasn't as good. His second stint was like unbelievable. And usually you don't see that very often. So for me, Usman Khwaja was definitely the winner overall. Yeah, I mean, fairy tale ending would have been he scores, winning run, but who cares? His interview was like really fun to listen to. He used the word grateful. He said, "Hey, I'm grateful for getting this opportunity." That shows really good mindset. So I think Usman Khwaja and Jatan, you mentioned earlier, they won't miss Usman Khwaja. I think they might to some extent, but I think Travis Head definitely, just from a pure opening batter, run scorer, maybe it's an upgrade in some sense.
Yeah. Yeah, they still have to solve the second opener, right? I still don't think it's solved.
I love
Yeah.
you, Uzi.
I love you, Uzi.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I guess for me, Khwaja could have probably been even a better version of what he eventually ended up with. But that's probably just me wanting more, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and Khwaja's it's interesting that some non-cricketing things that he's brought up, right? Things like supporting Palestine while on the pitch, right? Those were a few different things that he brought in into the game. We don't really see that a lot. In one of the matches, he wore shoes which showed his support. That was I thought that was pretty
Courageous.
pretty impressive, courageous, right?
Yeah.
I
Thanks for the
mean,
word.
that's how his career's been defined. I think he's always the kind of guy that he's always kind of trying to be different. He just has the different personality. He has the swagger. Sometimes, it rubs people off the wrong way, especially like some
Yeah,
of his
it does.
teammates might like not appreciate. But I think like you said, he brought something different to that team.
Yeah, and one more thing, I've also heard his earlier interviews. I don't remember the exact words, but he's also alluded to the fact that being a non-Caucasian or a brown guy in the overall Australian setup when he was coming up was not very easy, right?
Yeah, you can
And
see that.
one of the
Yeah, yeah.
things, one of the things he mentioned is that you haven't really seen anybody else do that, right?
Yeah.
In that setup. So again, probably something controversial, but really, it's something coming
Yeah,
from
I
him.
mean
So yeah,
that's
he
why
probably
for
gone
me
through it.
he was the winner. I think a good ending, right?
Yeah.
At home. So that's cool.
Winner for me has been Joe Root, his redemption down under, right? If there was one undeniable bright spot for England this summer, apart from say Bethel, it was Joe Root. For years, the narrative following Root to Australia was his century jinx or the fact that he's not won a match there. So for one of the world's greatest batters, never reaching triple figures on those shows was confounding, to say the least. So, well, considered that ghost officially exorcised. So he just didn't break the seal. I mean, he did it twice. He notched his maiden Test century in Australia with a gritty 138 in Gabba, and then delivered an absolute masterclass here at Sydney. And statistically, I think it was a massive turnaround. I mean, he finished the series with 400 runs with an average of 44. Pretty great for somebody who's struggled all along in Australia. But I think all beyond the numbers, also there was emotion involved. He finally won his first Test match in Australia, even though that match was pretty much a lottery. But still, the MCG Test match, he was on the winning side. So that's great. he's really marching on towards Sachin's run record. So that is obviously in danger. But I think Joe Root finally redeems himself in Australia, and for me, that's one of the biggest things.
I mean, the other side of winners is losers.
I think it's got to be Baz, Brendan McCullum. So this Ashes had a lot riding on it. I mean, this guy said that this was the most important Ashes of our lifetime. Okay? Stuart Broad said this was the weakest Australian team since 2010, 2011. Forget what he said right afterwards because it takes away from my point. Like, come on, Baz. When you come out after the fifth test match and you say things like, oh, 380, that was a good total. And then when Nasser Hussain kind of like pushes back a little bit, he's like, oh, it was an average total. It was not horrible. Not horrible. You played
You can't win Ashes with a not horrible performance.
with not horrible. And then, of course, like Mama said, 530 odd by Australia in the second innings just showed England like where they are. When they asked about about certain players and how they got out, any normal sane test coach would have seen the way Jamie Smith got out, would have seen the way Will Jacks has gotten out repeatedly in the matches, would have seen Harry Brook bouncing down the track, trying to slap one across the offside when the team is 20 for 3. I mean, like, boss, I know you average 55, but just chill the F out. Like, we don't need that 20 for 3, right? But no, his justification is, these players, they're averaging 55 in test cricket. This is just the way they play. And, like, I'm always open to evolution and change.
Yeah.
But you need to have conviction in your approach to be successful. And I think I don't want to take anything away from Baz as a cricketer. I think that guy, like, when he was on the field, him and Ben Stokes are kindred spirits in that regard. Like, they are always putting the most effort out of all the players. At the same time, like, effort can be wasted. And just trying really hard to fit a team into a certain, like, way of playing and just trying really hard to do that isn't enough to win the Ashes in Australia. It's just not. And I think, like, just the casualness. I mean, we spoke about this earlier about England's preparation for Australia, how none of the players had played any red ball cricket or pink ball cricket in Australia before, and how they're kind of casual to it. They were like, oh, we know how to do this. We know it's going to work out. And I just like, man, like, you could just see the signs early on of just like hubris and just like denial of like the differential in skill.
Yeah.
And I think it just played out exactly how a sensible person would have thought it would play out. And all this media hype, all this hype about this being a very exciting, good England team was just
So
crap,
we can,
honestly.
I mean, from coach to the skipper, right? So for me, the loser is Ben Stokes. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ben Stokes, but at the end of the day, I don't think he gets it. He's not getting what the issues with his teams are, and then he comes out and says, "Oh, they're going to see a tough side of me as well. I have a ruthless side of me." That reminded me. There was one leadership book I think I was reading, and it says there isn't anything called bad teams. It's just bad leaders. And it was actually from a book about Navy SEALs and stuff like that, where people go into like a war front. In those situations, they're like, get over it. There isn't anything called bad teams. It's just bad leaders. And I have to say, in this case, these two are just bad leaders. They are amazing performers. Ben Stokes wants to like somehow hide his team's weaknesses, and then he wants to step in and do everything by himself. Worst thing a leader can do is not knowing how to delegate. If you have a fast bowler, who's going to get a new ball. If he's clicking 125 kilometers, don't give him the ball at all. Forget the new one. Potts was bowling 125 kilometers. You gotta be kidding me.
Reminds me of Kamboj.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, come on. And if that's what a leader is, I'm really actually now wondering what their decision making is. It's just wishful thinking. Somehow bought into it, and they got themselves so much cornered, they can't back off anymore. So for me, the biggest loser, unfortunately, is Ben Stokes right here. I mean, again, individually amazing player. He shows fielding setups and energy. All that is good. He's not reading his team. He should have thrown out some players long time ago. Not go and say, "Hey, you also going to see a ruthless side of me." So,
I think some part of leadership is also about delegating a lot of stuff, not taking everything on your own. Even in the India-England series, he was just bowling his heart out. But is Ben Stokes supposed to be getting all your wickets or most of your important wickets? He's number 4 bowler in the team. Not really, right? And also the other part about not taking the decisions at the right time. Just cut your losses and move on to somebody better. And again, I keep probably saying the same thing again and again, but the top 3 of England batting is probably why they again lost the Ashes, maybe combined with some very ordinary bowling. He keeps putting his hopes on Duckett and Crawley, and
like wishful
I
thinking.
don't think
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to cut your losses. I think that's the right way to put it. You got to accept, hey, something isn't working, make some decisions and move on. And definitely not just say, I'm going to bat, I'm going to bowl, I'm also going to catch. I mean, come on, right? That's not a good leader, right?
And unfortunately, his form with the bat also didn't help him.
Exactly.
A good Stokes 100 would have really, again, invigorated the team. But then again, it's all again on him to do everything, right?
Yeah.
If he's not playing well, the team's not pulling him up.
I mean, that's why
along.
you got to really think that, and of course, it's an exaggeration. We're not saying there cannot be bad teams, just bad leaders. It somehow popped in my head when I was listening to some of those interviews also. And I'm like, come on. And not against Australia, in Australia. I mean, you have either completely ignorant or arrogant or God knows what. So
now it's time for our show special. What the heck? This is anything that gave us a moment of pause, a strong reaction throughout the course of this 5-match series. And, just in the 5th test alone, there were so many what the hecks. I mean, first of all, the way that Jamie Smith got out in the first innings, Marnus Labuschagne, of all people, to Marnus Labuschagne.
oh my
And
God.
did you see the way Marnus Labuschagne was running around the field, like pumping up, like shoving Steve Smith? Like, oh my God, how could you allow that? And this wasn't like, oh, it's the last day, we have to score 300 runs in 2 sessions, like every single over from every bowler counts. That was not the situation. This was day 2 lunch, like Joe Root batting fantastically.
Exactly.
No pressure on England at all.
And eventually Root ran out of partners.
Oh, exactly. And I was just like, wait, I try to give benefit of the doubt to cricketers. Sometimes you play a shot like Kohli outside the off stump. It's just instinct at that point, right? When you see that ball, you just have to react really fast and just do it. This wasn't that kind of dismissal. He knew the ball was going to be short. Instead of just hitting it on the head, hitting it straight down, the way that you're supposed to in test match cricket, what did he do? He made room, advanced down the track, and picked out the one fielder there was in deep extra cover. On the stroke of lunch, with no pressure on the run rate. I mean, just what the heck? What are you thinking? How could you not condemn that? And this is the other thing that gets me.
Basball says finish with a flourish with the 6, the session.
Yeah,
what the hell?
Every over must end with the 6. And this also just bugs me. in this interview between Nasser Hussain and Brendan McCullum, McCullum repeatedly said, what we tell the players in the dressing room is obviously not the same as what we tell you in the media. And I think that it's such a condescending thing to say after your team was dog walked over and over again throughout the course of this series. After your players made the same mistakes repeatedly to get out, all because they were subscribing to your philosophy of be aggressive, show attacking intent. And then, of course, on the other side, you have Travis Head scoring, run a ball 160, 170. It's just absolutely mental the way that Jamie Smith got out. What the hell was he thinking?
But see, Siddharth, I actually disagree with you. Meaning, it was a given. You could see the writing was on the wall.
As soon as Marnus came in, I knew someone was getting out.
It was done.
It was done. It was going to happen.
No, and the thing is, anytime England was in some sort of control, it's almost like they couldn't deal with it. They're
Yeah,
like,
they gave it
oh,
away.
we got to mess something up here.
This is going too well.
This is going too well.
They were
What can
shocked
I
that they were
do?
actually doing well in the match.
Yeah, what can I do to shoot myself in the foot? What can I do here? Oh, let's have Manas Labushin. And by the way,
Right.
any guesses on what was the speed Manas was bowling at?
It was 110 to
130. 100.
Oh,
He was clocking mid 130s in that ball. And I was like, what the heck? He is bowling 130 clicks. And then, of course,
Ollie Potts.
and then Potts.
Michael Potts.
My what the heck kind of is Ollie Potts gets a new ball and he's
Sorry,
bowling
Matthew Potts.
whatever.
Yes.
Ollie Pope, Matthew Potts, same thing. Right? 125. And Labuschagne, and fair enough, he was just running in and short pitch, which is potentially easy to bowl little quick.
Hey,
But
I mean, one might
130.
argue that Marnus actually prepared more to bowl in those Aussie conditions than the English did, because he actually bowls during Shield cricket.
Sure.
So he actually did more to prepare for those conditions as a bowler than any
does.
of the English bowlers did.
Yeah.
So it's just remarkable.
And by the way, just a tangent, but when I was watching it with one of my friends, and I said, Jamie Smith is thinking, how can I get out? Because he got out on a no ball, then a catch went between a first slip fielder and the wicket keeper, and then Jamie Smith is thinking,
Right.
oh, looks like you're doing everything in your power not to get me out. I'm going to do everything in my power to get out. Let's see who wins. And he was the winner. So it was crazy.
So if that wasn't bad enough, the following day, Head is batting on 120, and this actually leads into a question I have for you guys. And Will Jacks, regarded as one of the best fielders in the world, one of the best catchers in the deep, right? He plays for Mumbai Indians, so you've seen him take some pretty good catches very easily. This guy, Head pulls a ball, end of the bat, top edge. It's just ballooning in the air. It's just asking for someone to catch the ball. Will Jacks is on the boundary, probably thinking about I don't know, Dover and the White Cliffs or something. And he just lets it. How does he drop that ball? And I actually, I want to bring this up now. How many times was Travis Head dropped in the series? What do you guys think? How many times was he dropped? And this is according to Crick Info.
5 times.
Someone knows the answer.
I don't. I guessed it.
No,
Yes.
that was exactly correct. He was dropped 5 times throughout this test series.
And he made it
And-
count.
Oh, he made it count in a big way, because after the 5 catches that he was dropped, he scored another 163 runs on top of that. And you know who the next 2 highest drop catches were after that? It was Alex Carey and Jake Weatherald. And Alex Carey put 117 runs after his 3 drop catches. So in terms of the drop catches and how much they actually affected the match, Travis Head scored 163 runs with 330 plus runs after the drop catches.
Unbelievable.
Alex Carey scored 117 more runs with three 30-plus runs after the drop catch. And then Jake Weatherall added 30. Ben Duckett, ironically, got dropped 3 times, but he only added 39 runs with no 30-plus runs afterwards. So
And
you
how
talk
much did how much did Jamie Smith add?
uh
He didn't want to add.
No, he was like, no,
he was
I'm
just
gonna
he was
get out.
interested in subtraction. Like
Yeah.
so I mean,
Uh,
and then I think a couple more like what the heck's for me, just like mind-blowing stats from Travis Head. Scored 629 runs in this series. Um, how many do you think combined Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett scored?
200.
Half of it.
Yeah, no, it was 475, mostly carried by Crawley, who very
Yeah.
sneakily was actually the 6th or 7th highest run scorer in the
Correct.
series.
He
So
had like an
he
80
like
something.
I mean, considering 2 of the matches ended in 2 days, and then another what the heck. Did you guys know that this is the I think 3rd or 4th shortest test match, 5-match test series where every single game has gone into completion in terms of the number of deliveries. So this is the 4th fewest number of deliveries that have been bowled in a 5-match test series. That where
Yeah.
every single match like
Wow.
went 4 innings of
And
all
I think
time.
all of these
Wow.
other 3 would have been in the late 1800s or early 1900s, because at that point
Actually, you know what's number 2? I think number 2 or 3,
No.
the BGT, this year's BGT.
Oh, wow.
Actually. So the BGT and this iteration of the Ashes are top 5 in the least number of deliveries bowled in a 5-match test series, where every match has like concluded without like something happening.
why would it be the BGT? I'm surprised.
No, it is surprising. I mean, it was also in Australia, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
series was not mired by bad pitches or 2-day test match, and I mean two-day test matches. So
Too
Yeah,
many
yeah.
all-rounders, probably.
Yeah, too many all-rounders. All round like zero. People who don't know what to do. They are all round everywhere.
okay,
So
talking about too many all-rounders, I would like to bring up one of my what the hex is again, this obsession with all-rounders rather than having specialists for test matches. How the hell did Stokes or Baz or whoever didn't play Bashir in Sydney? So it's mind-blowing, right?
it was a rank turner, right? The ball was like square turning in
Yeah,
the end. Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I do want to add something. I think with Bashir and England's fast bowlers, you look at the relationship that Stark and Lyon have with the footmarks. There's no like that level of strategy and
Yeah.
thought and foresight. It just doesn't exist in baseball, right? It just doesn't exist. I mean, when Mitchell Stark bowls over the wicket, right? That creates footpaths for Nathan Lyon on the other end against right-handers, right? So that rough that Lyon gets to bowl into because Stark bowls over the wicket is very, very crucial to Lyon's success, actually.
Yep.
It is.
But I don't think that like level of planning for Bashir to be an effective bowler is actually being used, essentially.
That is something which maybe is unique, and you may not always have that combination. But even without that, right? I mean, I remember, right, at the start of the tour, Ben Stokes explicitly called Bashir their best spinner. He said, "Yeah, we are taking Will Jacks in the first or the second matches, but Bashir is still our best spinner." So why on a Sydney pitch, notorious for taking turn, why is he still sitting on the bench? And Will Jacks is playing the ball again. Probably the same obsession that, or the fear. If your number 7 is not, if your top 7 are not batting, why are you expecting your the 8th batsman to bail you out, right? Might as well
Yeah.
have. But so I mean, it's like the same thing. England picked Jacks because he lengthens the batting, but in doing so, they sacrifice the specialist's ability to actually win the game with the ball. I don't think he would have been able to defend 160, but it could have gotten really close.
Just so, Jatan, that's the irony, right? If you're saying I'm playing quote unquote baseball, meaning aggressive, attacking cricket, don't just do that with batting, right? Do that with bowling as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah,
You have
having a
that
spinner,
approach.
having a great spinner in the fourth inning of the 5th day of Sydney Test is
Yeah.
obviously being aggressive, right? It's not always bashing the ball around, but also having Bash in your team, right? Bashir in your
Correct.
team.
Bash.
So, so Yeah, I
sure.
mean, I think it's muddle thinking. What's the message Bashir is getting, right? You're the best spinner in the team, yet you're not good enough to
But we
bowl
don't
on day
have a
5.
spot for you. Actually,
Yeah,
I didn't have a what the heck, but I have to say, Potts bowling 125 kilometers on a new ball when something could be done, something could be happening. I just couldn't believe it. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. So we can go to our most valuable player. For me, again, I had said that even before, Mitchell Stark. I mean, just through and through, not just because of his stats, definitely important to take wickets. Just, I mean, even in Sydney when it was hot and sweltering, and maybe you are ahead in the game, for him it doesn't matter. Workhorse. I mean, he is just workhorse. He just comes running in, gives his best. May not always succeed, right? Sometimes he goes for runs, blah blah blah, but he's always giving his best and didn't make you feel that Cummins wasn't there, Josh Hazelwood wasn't there initially. Didn't matter. I mean, he's just, and of course has the skills, but and he has added that, I don't know, maybe maturity or calmness, and like no trash talk at all. His body language is just like it's scary almost. So I think 31 wickets he took in the series. Obviously, he also batted well. So for me, the most valuable player, I mean, of course, Travis Head is there, but I would pick Mitchell Stark. If I have to pick one player from the Australian team, I would pick Mitchell Stark. So I think MVP Mitchell Stark for me.
You know why he performed so well?
Why?
You know what the secret to his success was?
What was the secret to his success?
It's because the greatest women's cricketer of all time, also his wife,
Oh yeah.
was commentating all the matches.
Oh, that's true.
Uh,
Yes.
so there's a little bit of extra motivation in there to get the engine running.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense now, and also good behavior,
hey, he's just grown
right?
up.
So
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my what the hecks that I didn't mention, but I'll mention now, was that Mitchell Stark not only outscored Ollie Pope in this series because he also played more matches, obviously, but he also out-averaged him. So I think that just speaks to his, especially in the first and second test matches, like when the series was on the line, Stark just delivered time
yep.
and time again. 7 wickets in the first match. And I think kind of Head uh, as an opener, especially in that low scoring affair, um, it just I think he can just like completely take the game. It's similar to like Abhishek, his counterpart in SRH. It's just when they're on, right? Like there's very few things you can do to just like stop them from playing the shots that they want to. I mean, one thing that like really strikes me about Head as a player is that his technique is very unorthodox actually, even for a left-hander. A lot of times you'll see his feet in the air while he's playing shots on the leg side. When the ball is pitched into his body, he'll kind of jump and like kind of play it off. But one thing you always see as a batsman, his eyes and his head they're just stationary. And one thing like I learned was that whenever your head tilts or your eye level changes, the ball also moves, kind of, right? Because
Hmm.
your eye level is kind of changing, but Head, his entire body is moving, but his eyes and his head remain very still. And that allows him to play the ball even away from his body very effectively. And of course, playing in Australia helps. I mean, just another, I think, mind-boggling stat is that he scored 47% of the runs of across all the openers in the series.
Wow.
I think I mean, that's just unbelievable. He scored 629 runs. The next closest was Joe Root at like 405. I mean, we talked about being a difference maker at the top of the order. Um, I mean
Yeah.
that guy just took the game. He won a couple of games for Australia just single-handedly.
No question.
But
No
again, Mitchell
argument there.
Stark is a great shot. Yeah.
Yeah, even my MVP is Stark, but yeah, I guess speaking about Head, I find a lot of Sehwag in Head, right? Watched Sehwag closely over the years. He was a better test player than a one-day player, Virendra Sehwag. And when you think about players at the top playing fast, right? I mean, or playing aggressively, you would think that somebody playing that well in tests would naturally, do the same or even better in one days. But Ian Chappell always used to say, Sehwag is a better test player, and what he tries to do is he tries to bring even more speed in one days, and he kind of falters. Ian Chappell used to say, Sehwag, somebody should tell Sehwag that you should probably just think that it's a test match and play a test match game, and that'll be good enough for the one days. But anyway, I'm only curious that once you get a bit out of form with this unorthodox technique and
Yeah.
not that much foot movement, how will that?
Can you
How will
fix that, right? Can you fix
how will you
that?
be able to fix that? Or
It's definitely a very hand-eye style. Like,
yeah.
and I mean, there's also a lot about like just his mentality. I think his grit, but also the way he just like plays the game. You know what I mean?
Mm.
He's just playing a game. When he's out there, he looks like there's no pressure on him. When he's batting, the pressure is always on the bowlers. And I think
But I'm
that's
just
awesome.
curious
Yeah.
when the pressure comes on him, right? When his he plays a lot of his shots above the cordon, he uses the pace of the ball a lot, and in that for that you need a lot of timing. I mean, in the sense that your bat speed and everything has to like really match, like hit the ball right at the right point. If you're playing a cover drive, sure, you could edge it, but you could still play a cover drive and it doesn't reach the boundary, or even if you don't have the timing, you're still probably a bit safer. But with shots where you're playing late, you're playing over the cordon, if a slight mistake could
I mean, that's always a challenge, right? When you
yeah
have an unorthodox way of playing,
yeah
when things aren't going well, can you go fix it? Interestingly, Rishabh Pant, I think falls in that. That's why he's probably the really good test player. He
mm,
definitely is. That's why I'm not sure about ODI and T20, because I think in his head, pun intended here, he must be thinking the same thing. Oh, if I do this in test in ODIs and T20, I got to go like 5x. I'm like, no,
faster.
no,
Yeah.
just play your
Just
natural
play.
game. Yeah, so cool. I think those are our MVPs. So umpire's call, right? So that this is a segment where either we ask a question or you make a call. In this case, I'm going to go somewhere in the middle, but I'm going to make a call and say Virat Kohli is not going to score 100 hundreds. But there are people who must be thinking, heck yeah, he's going to, because he is on a tear right now. I mean, he is playing unbelievably amazing in ODIs, and he has 18 more centuries to go. So, I mean, good for him, for sure. But
18 is a
do you
lot.
think he can make, right, 18? But think about this. This is something you can even think about and say, it's possible it could happen. That's how crazy this player is, right? 1800s, there are people who spend their entire career and they score like 10 centuries, and it's like, wow, they scored 10,
Yep.
15 centuries. Here we are saying in next 2
unbelievable.
years, can you score 18 more hundreds? And we
80
think
200s is
he could.
sick.
It's
It's
ridiculous. So
sick.
my call is, I don't think he's gonna.
No, I don't think. Yeah, because it's
Me
just cold
neither.
hard math. Yeah, 18 more hundreds in 2 to 3 years. He has to play like 2016, and that still probably won't cut it. With ODIs also being less and less, right? I mean, we are
Yeah,
playing less and less ODIs as we go along.
fine.
It's
Okay.
mostly
I mean, we can root for him though, right? I mean, I would want Sachin to have 100. That just me being very, very like possessive about certain players we root for. But
Emotional.
yeah, but he's in an unbelievable form right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my umpire call. How about you, Sid?
Yeah, I mean, after this Ashes series, Joe Root with his redemption arc, d maybe, I mean, I think it's probably a given that he sticks around for at least one more Ashes. So I'm gonna alter my original umpire's call. Does he stick around for two more Ashes? And that would be
No,
2029 or 2030.
no way.
And I think he has a real chance. I mean, I think
yeah.
he is a shoe-in for the next Ashes for sure. I mean, can you think of a single prospect within England that can scrape Joe Root's boots, like the mud off of Joe Root's boots when it comes to Test match cricket? Like, I can't. I haven't watched the England Lions play against Australia A, but from all accounts, it was very unimpressive. So I don't think in the next 2, maybe 4 years, there's actually going to be a caliber of a player that's going to be able to take Joe Root's side. And you think
Yeah,
about Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad's longevity. They didn't just play because I mean, they were very good, of course. They also played because England didn't have anybody else to replace them. I mean, if there were batsmen that were like breaking the door down, like Shubman Gill in India or Yashasvi Jaiswal in India, or even Rishabh Pant in India, like I'm giving Indian players maybe because that's my context. Um, then maybe if there was that talent pool in England, like Root definitely wouldn't stick around for the next two Ashes. But he's definitely going to be. I would be shocked if he's not there in the next Ashes, and I think he has like a damn good chance for being there. And then the one
I
after
just
that.
thought about one thing, by the way, with Joe Root, right, is an amazing batter, no question. He's also a really good bowler. I was really surprised in Sydney he didn't get to bowl.
yeah,
I
that's a good
mean,
point.
he's a great off
I mean,
spinner.
he had
Why
some
would you
back
not bowl him?
spasms, I believe, earlier
Oh,
in the series, so it's
I see.
possible that was
of
affecting him. But your point is heard. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, bring on Joe Root, and he gets a wicket, right? He's a thinking bowler and skilled as well. So, I mean, I think one more Ashes. He has two more. I think too many.
but I think two more he will play. I
Yeah,
agree with Siddharth here. Yeah. So he's 35. He'll be 39 when he plays
sure.
again down under. 39 is especially when if he doesn't bowl too much, right? If his back sticks around.
And he's a one format player too.
That's what he's almost phased out white ball formats, right? He's totally focusing on tests. And secondly, there's a lot at stake for him, right? The way Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have for the next ODI World Cup. Yeah, leading England to, I mean, not leading in the sense from captaincy perspective, but leading England to an Ashes victory down under. He still wants that. So he's
Yeah.
finally won a match there. He wants to win a Test series, I'm sure, right? So I can see him narrowing his focus entirely, totally on Test cricket, grinding for the next 4 years, and making one final legendary charge in
Yeah, I
2029.
mean, I don't
And
think
score
there's anything in
2000.
his game. Yeah, there's and of
Yeah,
course the test record,
Yeah.
but it's like there's nothing in his game that makes you feel like he can't play for more years.
yeah.
Kind of like the way with Anderson, there's nothing in the way he bowls
Yeah.
that's like, oh, like me, he's gonna get injured, or oh, like he's not gonna be as effective in these conditions. Like similar to Anderson always being an effective threat in England. I think
Yeah.
Root in England, first of all, is
Mm.
he's a very, very like he's a generational player.
He
I
plays
think,
well in
and I
India.
agree with
Yeah,
you.
he
Yeah,
plays well in
I
India. Though, again, being a Sachin fan, I don't really want him to surpass his tally, but unfortunately, he's going to do that.
So I think again, right, for Ashes, the results went how we all expected.
Australia retained the Ashes 4-1. Despite missing key bowlers, such as Hazelwood, from the very beginning, but then even not needing Cummins and Lyon towards the end of the series. I mean, Lyon got hurt. Hopefully rehabs well. Cummins was just rested. Australia just dominated. In the fast bowling, I think especially they were just far, far, far better. I mean, we talked about Mitchell Stark. I think Scotty Boland's got to get his flowers, and even to some extent, Michael Neser has got to get some
Yeah,
flowers for his performances when he was called upon.
we haven't talked enough Nesser. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah. It was brilliant, right? It was just too great of a challenge for England, and even for the future of England's cricket team. You can't even say England's batting, England's bowling. Their entire Test cricket team, I think, is under a lot of scrutiny right now because, I mean, a few years ago they forced Broad and Anderson pretty much into a retirement because they believed that Archer would, maybe they had something in Bryden Cars, right? They thought that was the future. But clearly their bowling is not up to scratch and not fit, right? Two very
Not fit.
important
I think not
factors.
fit.
So,
Yeah.
so they have bowling issues, batting issues, and catching issues, right? What
I mean,
remains?
catching, I got to say, catching, like, that is the least concern. I think when you're under pressure in a test match, you're more liable to drop catches. If you're a little bit ahead of the game, then you make those plays happen. Um, but like as I was saying, like the injuries for England is like and their lack of depth, right? Because Australia, like we just said, had injuries, Lyon, Hazelwood, and then Cummins obviously is always injury concern. They still were able to scrap together a good bowling lineup. And then England, drawing, or I think they technically retained the series against India, but drawing to India at home against, like Mama said, a very relatively inexperienced side. But I mean, Gill also had an insane series, to be fair. And then, as Rod had put it, the worst to lose 4-1 to the worst Australian Ashes team since 2010-11. Baz will always say that England has progressed a lot in the last 4 years. And maybe in terms of skills they have, but in terms of results, they
There's nothing
just
to show.
haven't.
There's nothing to
There's
show.
there's
I mean, at
very
some point you got to.
very little to show. Yeah.
So we'll see if there is a
Um,
change actually at the top. So I'm wondering. will
I
there be a
doubt it
change?
because Baz was made the white ball coach as well. So
Yeah.
I doubt that they're going to be moving away. I know a lot of the former like English players and legends of the game. Like, I mean, think what you want of Michael Vaughan as like a commentator or whatever. Like, I'm not a big fan.
Even boycott.
Yeah, I mean, boycott is always like kind of controversial. And then even like Nasser Hussain, like his interview with Brendan McCullum, where McCullum was like that, like he took offense to some question that Nasser Hussain had asked. Like it just like, and then there was also the whole Ben Duckett scandal. Like I don't even know if that just got swept under the rug too, but there was a whole Ben Duckett scandal down under too. Just there's so many things that are wrong with England's team and so many things that Australia did right in this series that it just was a very one-sided affair.
I think people should just start planning trips to England. Let's have a tour. Let's play with England going forward. Awesome. So I guess this is a wrap for us.
Yeah, that's
from
a wrap.
The Cow Corner.
Thank you.
So long.